Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Top Pros It's Easy Bro live stream. I'm joined by Tim, the Top Pros founder,
Hi guys, good morning.
and today we're going to be showing you a presentation here of how we went from 1 to 10 vans in less than 1 year. So, Tim, tell us about the starting point of our story at Red Hat Plumbing.
Yeah, sure. Story is very simple. We started. My son moved in with us and wanted to do something outside of going to college. So we suggested for him to get into trades, live with us, and start a get the exposure to services. So we sent him to work with a friend of ours. Who's doing plumbing. Worked with him for a little while, realized that he liked it, realized there's a lot of money into the trades, and so he wanted to establish his own business. So after that, he got his license and he started the plumbing business.
That's great. Wow. So, what was the original plan when you guys started the business? When Ahmed started the business?
Yeah, the original plan is you're young, you're not married, you live with us in the house, you have the time, you have no commitments, you don't have a lot of overhead, you don't have a lot of responsibilities. It's the best time to start a business, take the money you make from this business, reinvest it back, and spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing to get jobs and sell the jobs and keep yourself. Really start with one. Start by yourself
Yes.
first as one man. You
Yeah.
have to do the work, and then as you get busy, you start adding a second van or a helper, and so on. So that's the whole idea. We started really shrewd with he bought used tools, he bought used vans, um, and just started with the bare minimum. In fact, at the time he started, he had no money, and we
Yeah.
did not help him with any of the money. All we helped him with live at home, stay at home, eat at home. Your job is to focus on Red Hat Plumbing.
So all the money that was going into the business and coming out of it was going right back into it.
Exactly, and work 10, 12 hours, whatever it takes to get this business going.
I see. So tell me about the accident.
Well, there's a long story to the accident. So, in few months, he was able to hire a few plumbers, and the business took off really
Yeah.
fast. So he had about 3 to 4 guys already hired
At this time.
at this time. Yeah. And one night, you and his brother,
Yeah. That's
going
right.
to see the Black Panther movie, and along the way, we you guys had a big car accident, and Ahmed was transported to the hospital. They operated. He basically lost his whole femur, shattered his whole femur, and doctors spent about 12 hours operating on him. And when they came out of surgery, they pretty much told us that he will never walk again, and he would be on a wheelchair, and to prepare a house for a handicapped person. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that
that
was a
was
really scary time.
yeah, very devastating, very scary, sure.
So at
So
that point, Ahmed was in the hospital. Obviously, he's now injured. How did the business continue to run, and what did you find out?
well, let me step back a little bit here and just let people know what my career is. I'm an electrical engineer. I went to school at Fresno State. I've been working in the power systems engineering on wind farms and solar farms for the last 40 years. So at that time, I was running my business, and when we heard the news, when the doctor said he will never be able to walk, I basically needed to step in. So next day, when Ahmed woke up from the his medication, I asked him, "How do you run your business?" And he handed me an iPhone, and he said, "Everything is on this iPhone." So got the password, and he showed me two tools that he was using. He was using um, home advisors, I think, to get leads,
Yeah,
and he was using M Help Desk, a little tool for invoicing called M Help Desk. And he told me that he just had four guys, three, I think it was two technicians and two helpers. So I took the iPhone from him and realized that I have to wear the plumber's hat. So overnight, I had to run a plumbing company that already had four people, and he's already scheduled jobs. So that was by force.
no experience, no trade industry experience. You jumped into this plumbing business, taking over for Ahmed with existing jobs still going, and you're managing them now.
Yeah, and he's already sold jobs. So yes, I'm like I said, I had no prior experience in plumbing. I've never done any plumbing, never ran a plumbing company. And we knew at that point that recovery for Ahmed is going to take about, at least if he ever be able to get back to work, it was going to take 6 months to a year. So then at that point, we made the decision to keep Red Hat Plumbing running, keep my business, my engineer business running, run both and try to scale it up. And with the vision of at least one day he would be taking calls, become a dispatcher, and I would be handling the guys in the field and managing the business from that perspective.
I see. So I know from that time when you took over management at Red Hat Plumbing, you weren't very fond of the systems in place.
Yeah, so let me continue with that. Yeah, it wasn't really, there was no system, basically. He was just running everything from his iPhone and on a paper and a pad or a pencil and a pad. And he wasn't really structured. He didn't have business experience. You stepped in at that point, you created the website for him, and
I
you
did,
probably
yeah.
could talk about your experience about setting up the websites and the SEOs and to get you designed the wrap for the vans, and you could talk about how you stepped in to help him. You were about 15,
Yeah,
16 at the
15 or
time?
16. So Ahmed had his plumbing company, and of course he needs to market it and advertise it. So it started with a logo. We started out with just sketching it on a piece of paper, and then we went into, Adobe Illustrator and actually made it a real logo.
Yeah.
And then it became the t-shirts, the business cards. We then said, hey, we need a professional website. And that's really what I went to college for, is actually web design and software engineering. So I went in and I helped him design a website, and then it becomes the SEO. Everybody sells you on the idea that you need high performing SEO to show up and be at the top of Google when they search for you. The wraps on the vans. So we had to pick out the colors and the fonts and where we wanted everything and really design it. Um, so yeah, I got really involved in the actual creating the online presence and marketing of Red Hat Plumbing during this time.
That's correct. So going back to the becoming a plumber overnight, and my first experience, again, when Ahmed handed me the phone, he asked me if I called a specific customer. I think her name was Jill. Said, who's Jill? He says, I was at her house last night. I sold the job. I said, okay, let me find Jill. I went to the um, his contacts list. I called Jill and I basically told Jill I need to meet with her. She said, yeah, he was at the house. He looked at the job and he gave her a bid. I said, okay, can I, I have a project management experience. I said, let me look at the job and I guarantee you I can manage your job and get it done. So I went to Jill's house to find out that this job is really complicated, where she had a portable toilet and a guest house, and she was going to sell the house, and she realized with that portable toilet, she's not going to be able to sell the house. So, and the house is a high-end house. It's really expensive with nice tiles, um, closets, um, pool outside, and the job was supposed to be taken out this portable bathroom and put a regular toilet and connect it to the existing plumbing, where you had to cut the tiles from two sides to be able to pull a new pipe and find the old or the existing piping outside next to the pool and connect the toilet to the existing plumbing. I looked at this job and I didn't think it was going to be easy, and it's complicated and the house is expensive. So I looked at how much he did the job, and it was $7,000 at the time. So I ran some numbers just based on my knowledge of what it takes to do work like that. And so I went back to Jill. I said, the number that Ahmed gave you was extremely low. I don't think we can do this job for $7,000. So she said, how much can you guys do it? I really want to work with you. We said, well, the best I can do was $21,000.
That's a big jump from 7,000.
Yeah, from 7 to 21,000 is a big jump.
Three times.
Yeah, three times. To make the story short, she still said, okay. She signed the contract. We got getting the job done for me as a first job, that complicated, where we had to manage four people, cut tiles, cut concrete, pull new pipe, backfill and compact and repatch the foundation and the backyard and the tiles on top of it.
Yeah.
Um, was really complicated for
You knew
me.
you couldn't do it for
Well,
7,000.
we did it, but at the end of the day, I looked at the numbers for that specific job after we finished it and after she paid the money and after I looked at all the receipts. I realized there is a lot of money in the plumbing business or the service businesses in general. And I realized just from managing that job that plumbing doesn't really have an, or service business, unlike my engineering business, does not have structure, no discipline. I'm working with the trades. The guys would, sometimes because I had to be with Ahmed at the hospital, I had to run my engineering business, and I had to also check on this house, very expensive house, and we're charging a customer $21,000 to make sure that this project is going to get done on time. So in the mornings, I would go to to Jill's house, and I'm expecting to see plumbers that are coming to help us and to stay on schedule. The guy would show up an hour, 2 hours late.
Yeah.
Many times guys did not show up, so you have to go scramble to find, to find helpers. So you'd go to Home Depot, find helpers in front of Home Depot. So I learned that there's a lot of money, but no discipline. And the tools he was using for me, it was really hard. And the other thing he told me, we get our jobs from Home Advisor, and you're gonna get leads. You have 30 seconds to dial that lead. I mean, that was super challenging.
What happens
time
if
for
you
me.
miss the 30-second window?
Well, other people would have already, because these were leads that were sent to 5 or 6 or 10 plumbers in the same area. So he said, you have 30 seconds, you dial it, and I would, and wasn't fast enough, wasn't as good as he is. So many times I dial and it's a little late. I do talk to the customers, and at the end the customer has already hired someone else, but yet I'm looking at the charges, and we paid for these leads.
So you're still paying for leads,
Yes.
even if you don't get the business.
Yeah, we were paying for leads, and many times you get the lead, you make the appointment, you go to the job, and you see some other plumber already there doing the work. And so I've also realized that there are jobs, but there are a lot of competitors, and you really have to be structured properly to manage these jobs.
So what was the structure that you found? What did you find out when you
There's no
came in?
structure. There was no structure. Guys, at the end of the week, they wanted to get paid. He hired them on hourly salaries.
Yeah.
And guys want to get paid on Friday. They would
Yes.
hand me time sheets on a napkin. I would have to go make spreadsheets, calculate the hours, and then generate payroll and send it to ADP. So my Fridays pretty much were consumed by, just trying to figure out how to pay these guys. And there were no systems in place to track where the guy spent his hours. And you would ask them, and they would say, "No, there it is, boss. Just on a napkin, the number of hours. Don't ask me which job I spend the time on." I
Yeah.
realized after the few jobs, Ahmed gave these guys credit cards, and they would just go to Home Depot, buy tools, buy parts for the jobs. And sometimes they would go to jobs and drive for 1 or 2 hours, like from Camarillo to Malibu, get to the job, realize that they don't have the proper parts. They would have to come back, drive another 2 hours, say for a water heater where the water heater is not in the right place and it's a little complicated and they need more parts. They would go there and realize they need to buy more parts. They would come back, drive 45 minutes and back with traffic. You've wasted a whole day on a water heater job, and you can't sell a water heater job, let's say, for $3,000, $4,000 or $2,000 and spend the day on it. The ideal time for that, suppose when you ask the technician how long does it take to do a water heater, and they tell you it takes 3 to 4 hours,
Right.
that's what you sell it for, right? And then they end up taking 8 hours, 9 hours, and
You're going overboard.
yeah, you're losing. So you're looking at the numbers and you say, man, how come I'm not making money? And
Right.
so you start looking at the system and you say, why these guys don't have the proper parts when they go to a job? Why they don't, because that would save you a lot of money. Why wouldn't they have a PO system when they go buy parts for a job, that they attach these parts to a specific job so you know what was bought?
Yeah.
tools. They buy tools, they put it in the van, and then at the end of the day, these tools rotate hands and change hands, and you don't know which truck has what tools. And you have worth of at that time, probably let's say $20,000 of tools, snakes, uh, a laser camera, and you don't know where these parts are at. So yeah, we were, these guys were, we kept them busy, but we weren't making money.
Right.
So what I realized at that point, because of lack of experience in the field, I needed to hire a salesman to sell the jobs and to tell me what's the proper amount of money to charge for a specific job. So we hired a guy named Tony, and his job was supposed to be a channel manager, or nowadays you call them a CSR, a
Yeah.
customer service rep. He's the guy who goes to the customer, greet the customer, sells the job, and then you would send the technician to finish it. So the more you start to hire, the more you lose money. That's a mistake also because I didn't know how to pay this guy. All I know that, hey, I needed a guy. I can pay him a salary plus a commission, but the commission I paid him, it was based on gross sales.
Yes.
So what these guys did, they would sell any job, and I expected the jobs to make money, but
Yeah.
they wanted to sell more to make 10% on gross profit. You understand?
So
So it didn't really matter how much.
they're willing to sell as many jobs as they can, even if there isn't profit for the company.
Right.
They know that they're going to take a percentage of your gross sale amount, your entire
Yes.
sale amount.
Yes.
They're 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
And they're happy.
Sure. Made a lot of money. The company, I looked at these jobs, the company didn't make a lot of money. So I realized at that point, I needed to put a spreadsheet to figure out what the company's overhead is, how much we paid for leads, how much these trucks and vans and maintaining them cost us, how much we spent on gas. And then is already committed to renting an office, which I think for a startup company, for a service business, is really not required. So he rented an office, it's like 12,000 square foot, where he stored some of the equipment,
Yeah.
and the office would be empty all day. No one is there.
So what's really the point of
A
having
lot
it?
of leaking faucets, a lot of fat,
Yeah.
and I realized there is money, but we have to trim a lot of the fat, shut off these leaking faucets.
Okay, so with that said, there was no system at Red Hat Plumbing. And one of the biggest issues that you mentioned was the leads. So Home Advisor, Angie's, you get that short window to actually secure the business. Talk to me about the practices you guys use for actually marketing and bringing in new customers to the front door.
Yeah, when you're a small business and you have hired already, we had 4 guys, 4 vans, and we hired Tony, and we kept them busy by um, mainly was, like search engines, Google,
Yeah.
Home Advisor, cost a lot of money, and there were the two. And we got sold on many things that I realized later on really did not make a difference. Elaborate websites that cost a lot of money. You did one, but then
At some point, I stopped doing some of the web design and the marketing, and you guys started looking into, this company is using this guy, so we want to try them out.
Yeah.
And I mean, tell me, how much would you pay for SEO once you guys stopped getting that service from me?
I found out that he was already committed to, I think it was $3,000 for a website through Scorpion. and $1,000 for the SEO a month and maintenance.
And Scorpion, I remember what sold him on the idea of actually, Scorpion is a company that does marketing.
Yeah.
And what sold him on the idea of using Scorpion was just simply that you go to the competitor websites,
Right.
and you can see at the bottom of their website built by Scorpion.
Yeah.
And so he thought, these are businesses that must be doing well. So I'm going to also go to the same guy that handles their website design and
Yeah.
see if it helps me as well.
Yeah. So we paid for we paid for those for a while, which became more overhead, more cost. And then I found out that we were doing mailers, was value pack for like the locum area. And we live in an area, it's big area, but the population isn't that huge.
Yeah.
Ventura County have like 700,000 people, and the mailers work the day that they arrive people's homes, and we would get maybe one or two jobs out of those mailers, and after that, it's trash. Then we looked at magazines like the Home Mag, where you buy a page for I think it was $1,200 per page. And those magazines, again, didn't really do much for us. So lots of money spent, different places, and no value. We added the cost for just, the overhead and the marketing, and found out we spend 30 to 40% on marketing, 30 to 40% on overhead, and then the rest of it goes direct job cost, and which includes employees, salaries, materials, and things like that. So we weren't really making money.
So you were overspending on marketing 30 to 40%,
Yeah,
and that doesn't leave very much profit on the table.
right. So we had to optimize. You can go to the next slide. This is where we were. No profit. I worked a lot, um, and we hired a lot of people, and we weren't making money. So there's a problem, and we had to fix it.
And so these percentages you have here, this is what it looked like when you first started. And
Yeah, it took me a month to realize this. Realize that the guys weren't really disciplined to track time. They weren't disciplined to stock vans. They weren't disciplined to not buy tools randomly, and they weren't even trained on safety. And you do jobs sometimes in a commercial buildings where you have to be on scaffolds, or you have to dig holes and things like that. So I realized there's a lot of things to be done.
okay.
So we can go to the next slide. So here, this is where we started to cut back on the marketing, and we kept the marketing down to 25%, 30% max. And we just kept getting leads from Home Advisor and Google. We stopped the magazines, we stopped the value pack, we stopped the SEOs, and even the web design. We didn't really spend any more money on it. So, and we became more active in the community. We started to go to trade shows and things like that. So that helped us reduce some of that cost. And then on the overhead, we, like I said, the employees had to be accountable for their time. You need to give your timesheet, and you need to put the number of hours you did for which job. So now we're controlling how many jobs we do in a day. And of course, there were some people where we had to let them go because they weren't reliable. We hired newer guys that were more experienced, more reliable. I give you an example. We hired a guy named Alex. He was just awesome at selling, expensive jobs, septics and cleanouts and things like that. So that really helped us get bigger jobs with more profit and less money on the smaller stuff. Because when you look at the numbers and you say, I get a call, so we stopped taking leads for, like, say, a sink or a faucet. I can't pay.
Not very profitable.
No,
Not a lot of
you
money
can't.
to make.
Yeah. I mean, to go install a faucet for somebody, you can't charge them more than $150. You've already paid for the lead, which is maybe $30, the gas, the time, and to spend an hour or two, you lost money on that job. So we started to focus more on drain clearing, water heaters, and jobs that we think 2 to 3 hours, we can sell them really quick for $1,000 and make a lot of money.
So with that said, you know, what are the right tools to have as far as managing a business to get things organized and put some of these systems in place?
Yeah, when you get to having 3 to 4 or 5 technicians, it becomes harder and harder to manage the marketing as a business owner. The sales, the marketing, dispatching becomes difficult. So at that point, we realized we had no M-Help desk he had where you schedule a job. It's really not a good tool. And we realized we need a better field service management platform to be able to manage the business. So I started to look into Service Titan, Skyboss at the time, and neither one of those was, I mean, a lot of people use Skyboss because it was simple,
Yeah.
but Service Titan had more tools, more functionalities, but it was super expensive and you needed a lot of training to be able to use it. So we needed a field service management platform. And so at the end, we did go with Skyboss because of the cost and the simplicity, though wasn't really complete with the time cards and inventory management and things like that. But it had the nice dispatch board, invoicing, and estimates. So that is a fundamental tool to have if you really want to operate a business and manage your costs. You have to have the tools to show you if you're profitable, if you're not, how to manage, how to schedule people, um, price books where you have a guy in the field. Not all these technicians are salespeople. You have to have a tool for them to know what it costs to install a water heater or tankless water heater, for example.
So somewhere where they can go and find the prices that you have set for your service.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the tools.
So you touched on this here. So a field service management software is really what you're saying. You need a field service management software, the right kind of marketing. Do you need a dispatcher at this point in time?
You get to, yeah, at this point, for me, because I didn't have the time, we needed somebody to manage the guys and, rotate them because some jobs would be paused because of you order parts or you're waiting on a permit and you shift people. So you do need somebody. When you get to 4 or 5 technicians, you do need a dispatcher. A channel manager or a salesperson would help, but you have to figure out how you pay them.
Yeah.
And you train the guys how to deal with customers, how to greet the customers, how to, you know, reflect your company's image in the right way.
Right.
Uniforms, booties, pre-inspection sheets, post-inspection sheets. So we did a lot of work on presenting the company image in the right way.
I see. So, what does it mean to be more efficient and doing the little things that nobody else is going to do for you when it comes to scaling a business?
We touched on it. Being efficient means your guys, you expect your guys to sell X amount of dollars, and we'll go through how much each van should make you to be able to make profit.
Okay.
So the buying parts without a PO, buying tools to stock the vans. Um, we we had a system. You need a PO before you go buy those tools.
Yeah.
Being efficient, you have to start at the right time, end at the right time in the day. Your half an hour lunch means half an hour lunch. You don't go and 2 hours lunch and sleep in your van. I mean, that's how do you manage guys? I mean, guys.
Did that happen? People sleeping in vans instead of taking their lunch?
Well, yeah. I mean, some guys would just are tired and they would take 1 hour, 2 hour lunch, and or go with their friends and spend an hour on lunch and come late 15 minutes or 20 minutes. In many cases, seriously, many cases we lost jobs because the guys didn't show. And you paid for the lead, you promised the customers to do the job,
And that you
your
would be
guy
there.
is either didn't manage his time, he got stuck. And I understand some jobs were hard, but we had no system in place to, figure out this guy is not going to be able to make the next appointment. And the customer gets frustrated, and you already paid for the lead, you already um, scheduled the customer, and you ended up with, having now to manage customers. So that's where we have to be more efficient. Make sure that the guys have the right windows to do the job, have the right tools and the parts to do the job, show up on time to do the job. And if they can go to the next job, they would have to call you. So you have to really stay on top of it to make sure, and that requires a lot of time.
So no more at this point. It's no more of this like, I'm going to show up to the job and then I'm going to leave for another hour, go get supplies without a purchase order. At this point, you guys started putting these things in place.
Yeah, and it was hard for the guys to adapt them too. And they fought back, but that's what it takes to make money. And we started to see money, and we started to build actually our accounts. We started to see the benefits out of that. So we're 6 months in, and I hired Alex, I hired Tony, we hired Tino, we had Paco, we had another guy. So we're at this point at 6 vans.
Yes.
Um, and everyone is busy. We didn't do the little jobs. We focused on the right jobs and get them done on time. So now we started to see the benefits of the hard work.
So this is kind of a side question through this timeline, but what does it take to start a plumbing company?
Honestly, um, Ahmed had the luxury being young and lived with us, and you helped him with some of the, marketing. He didn't have much to start. His first van, I think it was a used van. He spent maybe $3,000 to $4,000 on it. So the cost to start a plumbing business, I would say, if you want to start a plumbing business, and I understand some people probably have families and commitments and rent. So I would say you need 2 months or 3 months of living expenses in your bank account.
Yeah.
For the business itself, if you start on your own and you have some experience, and even if you don't, it probably will take less than $5,000 to start a plumbing business, and mainly money into the marketing, money into buying few tools. You don't need to go buy hydrojetters, and I think plumbing tools are the most expensive tools versus like air conditioning and electrical
Yeah.
and garage doors. For garage doors, you probably don't need more than, a wrench and some screwdrivers and pliers and things like that. But for plumbing, for example, he didn't need more than, maybe some saws, drills, shovels, pretty much not more than $5,000.
You could start a plumbing business
Yeah,
less than $5,000.
yeah, you could start a service company. You can start a service business and less than $5,000. And I'm going to go off script here and talk about, is it really worth it? And because it's a question of go to college, get a degree, spend $100,000, work for a corporation to make. And those are the things we talked about, me and Ahmed, many, many times. And you know, he looked at me like, you did engineering for 20 years, working for a company, and you were still paying for a mortgage, and you didn't have your freedom. And I was almost 50, 60% of the time on the road traveling to job sites. So he didn't want to be in that position. So as far as trades, you do have the freedom. There are a lot of potential. There are a lot of demand for services. We had a wedding last year, and for me to book a photographer, I struggled to find one in December, which is not like a high season. So even a photographer with, let's say, two cameras and some lights wouldn't need more than $5,000, $10,000 to start a photography business, and add another helper and add another, photographer, and you could grow any service business really easily. If you run it the correct way, you don't, you will make a lot of money, you will have your freedom, and you are not burdened by, if you don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, there are a lot of demand for those services.
So how do you scale your business, right? So you get into it, you can get started pretty easily, as you just mentioned. How do you go from being like a single guy in your van to scaling up and adding each van on?
I think the blueprint, a lot of people, and we talked to a lot of people. You've done a lot of demos for TopProz and VanLink, and we'll talk about them later. Where you talk to people, they say, "I have one or two. I'm just a startup." So for scaling up, it's very simple. The first, if you're starting, it's you. You don't have a lot of overhead. You don't need a dispatcher. You don't need all the overhead. If you sell the right jobs and you stay busy, you could make 20%. The numbers vary on how many on sales. The standard number, I think, for, let's say, plumbing businesses,
Yeah.
gross sales has to be around $25,000. And so how do you make $25,000 is pretty simple. It's if you work 25 days or 24 days and took your Saturdays off and one full weekend off, let's say you stayed busy 25 days.
Yeah.
That's $1,000 per day.
Yeah.
$25,000, and you expect to make at this point as a startup by yourself 20%. So of $25,000, that's $5,000
Per month.
per month. So you take that, you roll it back into the business and reinvest it into the business. and so you can get more jobs. Now you have jobs to keep you busy
Yeah.
and jobs that will keep a second man busy. And at this point, you still don't need dispatchers and offices and expensive. In fact, you could hire guys who have their own tools and their own trucks. So I expect after the first or second month, you should be able to generate enough revenues to hire your first guy. So let's say you hired your first guy on your third month. Now you're at two vans. You're still making your 20% on your sales.
Right.
If you keep this guy busy and his sales, gross sales, just keep it on this chart, please. $25,000, and expect if you pay him a salary and you have to pay for his worksman comp and gas and things like that. So you're not going to make 20% on your net profit. Let's say you make 15%.
Yeah.
And he does make $25,000 in sales. That's $3,700 goes to the
3750.
business net profit. Yeah. So, and this is the formula. You take the money, you keep increasing your marketing until you get to the fourth band. Now you're at the point where you need a dispatcher, or you need somebody to help you with managing the company.
Yes.
So at four vans, at $25,000 per van, that's a that's a hundred that's $100,000 with 15% profit. That is $15,000
Right.
in your net profit in your pocket. So we think the sweet spot for one dispatcher for one location is seven vans. You go beyond seven vans or seven people,
Yeah.
it becomes harder. Your overhead increases, your worksman comp increases. You have to put, some money for risk management. Somebody
Right.
does a job, the wrong way. Now you have recalls, you have problems. So I think seven vans is the sweet spot. And you can do this based on this chart in less than a year, um, based on 15%.
Get up to 7 vans in less than a year.
Yeah. With 15% profit,
Yeah.
you're at about $27,000 per month in net profit.
Per
That's
month.
pretty nice, pretty good money. I don't think an engineer, I worked for 20 years as an engineer. I never made more than $15,000 a month, even after 25 years.
Yeah.
So for the risk reward, I think is worth it
Yeah.
because at this point you invested 1 year.
Yes.
And aside from all of this,
Yes.
that if you have the right tools actually to help you run this business,
Yes.
now you have assets in this company. You've developed a business that is profitable, that you could sell to somebody, but you have to show it on paper because a lot of guys don't have the right tools to show their their charts, their growth to somebody on like this is what I'm making today. If you decide that hey, this business is profitable, but a lot of guys would want to take the system and duplicate it
Yeah.
into different locations, expand. Seven people, seven trucks for one location like this area, like Ventura County, is big enough. So taking this and now you have the blueprint and duplicate that into other locations. You start your next location and you grow that in 1 year, and your third location and grow that in the third year. In 4 years, you've actually have built a pretty decent, nice piece of,
So
business.
once you do it the first time, you have the formula.
Yes.
You take the process, you duplicate it, you go to another location, you pick the right location.
Yeah.
And you can do it again.
Yes, and now your overhead gets split over many guys, right? When you start with 2 to 3 or 4 people,
Yes.
your overhead is split over 4 people.
Yeah.
When you have 7, your overhead decreases because you're still at the same, you're spending the same amount of marketing. You just have more guys. So now more guys but less overhead. And you can do this and duplicate this at many different locations.
All right. So tell me about our product, Saddle, right? So to keep a 7-van company busy, you obviously need business coming in, and you need work to give to these 7 vans. Tell me how Saddle helps people keep their company busy.
Absolutely. So today the environment changed, right? From 2019, let's say, we're in 2025. That's 6 years. Um, I talked to guys that used to work for Red Hat Plumbing. Now they have their own businesses. Every single guy we hired, and they know me. Now they have their own business, so there's
Right.
more competition,
Yes.
and they're doing the same things, the same mistakes we made with. Now Angie took over. They buy leads. They very expensive leads. They're intimidated by software, intimidated by computers because I realized you're in the trade because
You want to work with your
you
hands.
don't like spreadsheets,
Yeah.
and you don't like, Word documents and all this stuff. So they get sold, easily sold, and get tricked into spending so much money on computers, software, websites, SEOs,
Right.
into this. So what we developed a product that we took away all the technical skills away from the pro or the tech.
Yeah.
But we gave them simple tools. We created a marketplace, a true marketplace, where in few seconds you can generate a business profile um, without any technical experience, immediately can create promos, use social media because now social media is big. And I see a
Yeah.
lot of guys posting on Instagram and Facebook. So we made the system very simple. You can create a promo,
Yeah.
put it on social media.
Yes.
People can click it or scan a QR code. They'll be directed to your public profile page.
Right.
From there, that's a true marketplace where people can buy memberships, can buy recurring services, can see your business hours, and book you directly. And those direct booking leads come to you at no cost. It's a free platform, and this is where we want to disrupt the shared lead uh, businesses because we're not competing for Google listings.
Yeah.
We're not paying a lot of money to rank higher on Google. We depend on you in the morning as a technician to spend 5 to 10 minutes in the morning. You can create a promo, or if you have a dispatcher, create a promo, create a membership, add it to your Facebook, get people onto your public profile, and from there, all these direct booking leads will come to you directly.
Yeah, we can actually give them a demo right now in real time of what Saddle looks like
Sure.
and show them a public profile page. So let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, I've got one pulled up here. I'm going to share my screen. Perfect. So you should be able to see this now. So this is what a public profile page looks like when you create it in Saddle. So this is like, you can imagine your own business name here and your logo. And this is going to enable people interested in your services to come in and click this book now button and request your services. You're going to be able to put information about your business, a summary, how you got started, what you're offering. And this tool is going to enable you to create promos that look just like this in less than 2 minutes. Share them to your customers via email or social media. So you have a customer list that you're building and accumulating, and this is going to allow you to create business with your customers that already exist. This is also going to allow you to create service plans. So here you can create different subscriptions for your customers. They can come in and subscribe to your service plans. We also have memberships here. So you can collect a monthly payment from your customers just from the public profile page. I know in the AC business, memberships are very popular. And this page is also going to allow you to collect images and reviews from your customers, show your hours off and your service area. Anything else you want to add here on the public profile page?
You touched on the email list.
Yes.
Lots of pros don't really put value into those emails and contacts they deal with.
Yes.
So over time, you accumulate 1,000, 2,000 customers with their emails.
Right.
And they forget about you. You installed maybe a water heater or you installed a faucet for them. You want to be able to go back to these guys to offer your services. So when you create a promo and you send it via email to your customers, if they have a job, next time they have a job, they will call you so I think data is a gold mine, and we give you the system, the platform to save all these customers.
Right.
And with the simple, you can show how, maybe next live stream will show how to create a profile, how to create this promo,
Right.
and share it on social media and send it to your customers via email. So I would say we table that off for the next discussion.
Absolutely. Yes.
People say, why is it free? Again, I think I explained it. We do SEOs, but we don't fight for, I would say, being listed or ranked the first on. So we try to we use your help as a technician.
Right.
Or a business owner to use social media and drive traffic to that public profile page where they book you. So that's where we feel like you've done the work, you earned those leads. And we made, as a company, our field service management platform, VanLink. It's a subscription-based program, and we'll talk about it in the next live stream. So that's where we make our money. And we created these tools based on our experience to help pros to reduce marketing costs and to make it simple for them to use the technology today.
Yeah, so just to summarize it, Saddle is a free platform that you can go to. It's a part of our service marketplace where you can create a page, a public profile page, create promos and share them to your customers, create recurring services, memberships, email them to your customers. We do the SEO on our own website so that when customers find us and they're looking for, plumbing services in your zip code, they're going to find you. So we actually handle the SEO ourselves. You're going to be able to get direct booking leads just from that page. And you can also use those promos and take them to social media. So it's really the only tool you need. It's an all-in-one to help you actually get in front of more customers and create new business.
Right. Absolutely.
So guys, thank you so much for attending this live stream. We're at the top of the hour here, just hit an hour. Tim, I want to thank you for helping me present, this slideshow and going through your experience with Red Hat Plumbing. Do you have anything you want to say to the audience before we?
Thank you for joining, and look forward to the next live cast where we dive into more of the meat of the TopProz products. And truly, sincerely, it's our goal is to help, and our goal is to give you the best tools out there to help you grow your business.
All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Tim, thank you so much. You guys have a great Sunday. Take care.